I'd like to call this meeting to order for Thompson Planning District for October the 7th, 2024 at 7:17 p.m. May I have an approval of the agenda? Fitzpatrick, Saw, all in favor? Carried. Next, we'll go to adoption of minutes. Thompson Planning District, August 12th, 2024. Resolution 2024-012, moved by Councillor Deputy Mayor Valentino, second by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Thompson Planning District meeting held in Council Chamber City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, Monday, August the 12th, 2024, be adopted as circulated. Administration.
Nothing further.
Deputy Mayor,
Nothing further.
any comments? Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Correspondence 4.1 is a memo from the Director of Development and Technical Services in regards to request for proposals for updating the development plan. Administration. Hi.
Yes, good evening, planning district. Just bringing this to the attention of the planning district tonight. This will be going on to the committee of whole meeting following this. So, the RFP for this, development plan and zoning bylaw update was issued in July, in July and closed in August. The Thompson Planning District is actually the owner of the development plan in the grand scheme of things, and also has one of the two zoning bylaws rather, that's going to be updated as part of this parcel of work. So I just wanted to make sure the planning district is aware. The administrator of the LGD, Wendy Wolf, is on the line tonight. Wendy was one of 4 reviewers that reviewed the proposals. We had Wendy, Brett Mack, who is our regional planner from the province, Danny Haywood, who's our chief building inspector, and myself. Basically, the recommendation coming out of this is that we look to award the RFP to a company, HDFC. When we looked at the technical side, we looked at the pricing side. From the technical side, HDFC scored top. From a pricing side, we looked at a couple of things. We looked at some value-added services. A number of the consulting parties offered things like climate change modeling, sustainability planning, engineering infrastructure assessments, water studies. These are things that we all will need further on as we look to develop the city. And I know in discussions with the city manager, this is stuff that council, I believe, was asked for as part of a strategic plan.
Interest shown in some of those.
So a combination of that and northern experience led us to select the HDFC as a proponent. We'll discuss further at the committee of the whole meeting tonight, but again, I'm just bringing this to the district's information. And I guess I will turn it over to Wendy now to see, as the LGD administrator, whether Wendy has any further comments.
Comments, Wendy? You're on mute.
Good evening. You can hear me?
Yes.
Lyle, I think, did a good job of summing it up. We did look at all the RFPs that came in, and I agree with how the ranking was.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Board member Wong.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question regarding the scoring. I try to understand and educate me about it. So you score based on technical part,
Yeah.
which is the company probably had lots of experience, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you give a high score.
Yeah.
Pricing, from what I understand, when the price is high, you usually get score less. So can you explain this part here, why they score higher when the price is higher?
Yeah. So again, the committee looked at the pricing model. We looked at service, the value added services that were being done as part of the work package. Again, this was a request for proposals. So as part of the proposals, the consultants were offering those additional services that I mentioned, the climate change modeling, the sustainability planning, the engineering assessments, water modeling. These are all things that we are going to need at some point along the line. So if we do that now, then again, saves us having to go out to get contractors and look for those services that are further bids. We felt having it all part of one work package works better, because again, these things are all rolled into the help us with our zoning plan and our development. So that's why it is scored that way. So we didn't look solely at the, the lowest price gets the highest points. We looked at the value for service. While HTFC is the highest price overall, they are the lowest hourly price.
Thank you.
Can I have an additional
Yes.
question? Thank you. When the city sent out the RFQ, all those criteria is stated in the RFQ, say, look, besides you score this, so I ask for all this, can you do it or not? Those are all in the package, or it's just the company put the resume, stated they can do all this extra, blah, blah, blah.
Again,
Which
because
way
it
we
was
did our.
because it was an RFP, a request for proposal, we gave them the minimal work that we wanted. They then provided a proposal for all this additional work. Again, there is value added in having it done. And it's great to have. We've talked about with other packages, where we need things like water modeling to help with further sub-development, construction within the city. So we've all felt that this work was important and critical, and that's what we're looking to do about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Board Member Shaw?
Thank you. Just a follow-up in one response to the question. When you say the contractor provided additional stuff that they would be able to do. I'm not sure how many other companies bid it, but were they all given the same opportunity to?
They were all,
Comparing apples to apples, basically.
so there was 7 companies that bid. And again, it wasn't RFP, so they put their proposals forward as to what services that they're going to provide to us. And it did stipulate in the contract, and we're not going to, like, the award of the contract was not solely based on the lowest bid provided. That was clearly stated in the RFP paper.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was clear as to what they were bidding for. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor or Board Member Shaw?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The last part of this recommendation, right? If the city award the contract to HGFC,
HFC, yeah.
that means our city gonna cough out another $10,000 in order to fulfill this budget.
Yeah, so it's 129.95 is their price.
Yes,
We have 120 budgeted, so we need
right?
an extra 10. So
Okay.
again, this is really the committee discussion for later, but I talked to our CFO earlier on today. The additional 10,000 can come out of our money. This is considered capacity building, which is one of the packages that gas tax will fund. So the extra 10,000, according to our CFO, will come out of our, if passed, will come out of our gas tax to support this work.
I'm looking at the final scoring down there, like HTFC score 95.6.
Yep.
And WSP score 89.4.
Correct.
Which around six point, right?
Correct.
So if we award to WSP, we only charge 106,000, then the city will save over $10,000. Instead of, we have to cover another $10,000.
Yeah, but if you look at the pricing score, again, it's those value added services, Board Member Chung, that we're looking for. That again, we're getting it from HTFC. Not all of the consultants provided that same level of work. The other factor that was mentioned is that HTFC has experience in the north. They just finished doing the development plan and zoning bylaw in the town of the Paw and the island of Kelsey. So they are familiar with the north. They've worked with Indigenous partners in the north, so they know how, and I don't have the numbers here, they're in the scoring documents, but a number of these things talked about agricultural land and agricultural land annexation. We don't have agricultural land up here. So that was some of the ones that where we ended up deducting points, if they start talking about things that they really don't know Thompson. So we want a consultant that's familiar with the north. Familiar with Thompson to a certain point, and then we can get the information that we need to make this plan successful. Remember, this plan we're gonna be using for the next number of years, right? The last one was developed in 2012. So it's 12 years.
Thank you, Anthony.
And I think to the board member's question, that particular company you named, that would be cheaper. On the technical side, those scored much lower.
But not very far behind though. Like 6 point, talking about.
Yeah, what I'm saying though was on the technical side of how they were scoring it. I think what they're saying, the product that you'd get, there'd be ones that you'd want to choose before that.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, board member Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, thank you for that work on that, Bill. I think the value added speaks for itself personally, because then if we have one consulting company, we don't have to go outside and get a second opinion. It doesn't come out of our tax dollars, it comes out of our gas money, so it's not really impacting the taxpayers. I feel value added is gonna help us in the long run.
Thank you. No one else? Thank you.
We'll be discussing further in the committee. The whole meeting just really was bringing this up to the planning district to allow Wendy as well to provide her input at this time.
Thank you. I definitely think we had some experts in the room that did the evaluation, and I appreciate it. And with the changing times in the Thompson and the north, definitely we need to get the right company. Seeing no further discussion, we'll go to 5.1, resolution to approve the change in use of general permit number 0003315. LGD Mystery Lake number 608. Resolution 2024-013, moved by board member Saw, seconded by board member Fitzpatrick. Whereas the Thompson Planning District Board has been advised of a proposed change in use to general permit number 0003315 for the of an L-shaped 30-room construction camp. 254 by 103.5 by 29. Now therefore be it resolved that the Thompson Planning Board denies the change in use to general permit number 0003315 for the following reasons. Adjacent to the urban center of Thompson Planning District, which is not permitted under the use definition 1.14.89 of the LGD of Mystery Lake zoning bylaw number 541-84 as amended. The need for camp use incident for construction has not been identified under the use classification 2.3.2 of LGD of Mystery Lake zoning bylaw number 541-84 as amended. The December 16th, 1966 agreement between the province of Manitoba and the International Nickel Company of Canada, Inco, now Valley, requires all residential and commercial development to occur within the boundaries of the Thompson Planning District. Go to the administration.
Yeah, sure. So the real estate services branch is in receipt of this application for a general permit change in use that was dated October 28th. The circular has a deadline of October 11th. The area in question is currently a storage area for construction, camp materials and equipment. It's at the gravel pit adjacent to the Thompson Regional Airport on Highway 391, and it's within the LGD of Mystery Lake number 608. The purpose of the application is to request a change in use to add temporary construction camp to the pre-existing approved uses. The temporary construction camp would add 30-room construction camp in an L-shaped configuration. The package for the application is attached to this. So that piece of land is currently designated the limited development zone in the LGD of Mystery Lake. The proposed change does not conform with the permitted uses under the zoning bylaw. There's a permission there that you could have staff quarters, dwelling and dormitories, and temporary uses and structures subject to sections 232 and 233. If we go into the definition of the staff quarters, this is cut straight out of the zoning bylaw. It says that it means it's a building or part of a building, including a mobile or portable residence, used as a residence or dwelling unit and intended only for necessary staff workers, watchmen, guards, etc., whose presence is required on site at all times, or because of the site's distance from or inaccessibility to an urban center. And it goes on further. And then the incidental uses to construction, it says that a construction camp on these other uses shall be permitted, provided that these uses are permitted only for so long as the same are necessary for work in progress, and provided such construction or work has neither been finished nor abandoned. We had discussions with the Crown Lands Manager. The Crown Land Manager indicated that the Crown Lands Department will be denying or putting forward the proposal to deny this application. That was their input into this memo as well. And then there was also the note that the 1966 agreement between the province of Manitoba and Inco requires that all residential and commercial development occur within the boundaries. Therefore, the recommendation that's come forward, there's also a package from the district planner, who essentially has the same sort of analysis attached for you to review. It's recommended that the Thompson Planning District response and say denial of the permit because the area is adjacent to the urban center of Thompson, because the use of the camp has not been identified as incidental to construction, and because the 1966 agreement does not allow it.
Thank you. Comment? Councilor, Board Member Wong?
Thank you, Chair. Just hypothetically speaking about this zoning and all that. Let's say in the future, let's say we do the zoning, rezone the whole thing. Because all this is all bylaw happening to them. That's why they cannot accommodate this kind of request. So if the zoning bylaw look into this type of thing too, the new zoning bylaw, what we trying to do?
Thank you. Okay.
Yep, so the one that we're gonna review, Lyle was talking about earlier, that's something that if those changes wanted to be made by the LGD administrator or by the city of Thompson, those changes could be made. The part about the 66 agreement would require the consent of the province and valet. So that would be different, but yes, when they redo the zoning bylaws and the development plan, those are all things that can be changed in the future.
The reason I mentioned it because I personally don't like to put too much red tape for business, right? I understand that part, but I also understand the bylaw happened there. So we have to comply whatever passes, right? Let's say we are looking to restructure the whole thing. Maybe we have to take it as a consideration for the future plan. Maybe it's value to us, maybe it's not. But what I'm saying, since we are doing it, why not looking at the bigger picture? That's what my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Lyle?
Just a response to the board in general, that when we do award the contract for the update, one of the tasks is actually a discussion with the board, the Thompson Planning Board, the administrator, as well as the council, and all members of public to seek feedback into how they would like to see changes. So Board Member Wong, your feedback would be, yeah, absolutely, we can take that forward, and it'll be open to all during that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, Wendy? Oh, Sandra? Board Member Oberdover?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure because my one headphone isn't working, so I was concerned maybe that my microphone would also have issues, but glad to hear it doesn't. Anyhow, my question, it looks like from the materials that were provided that the camp is not connected to any specific construction project. Have we found anything more out about why they're wanting to develop the construction camp? Like if it is actually associated with a specific project that's happening or coming up in the future that has maybe been awarded to this company?
The way the circulars work is they actually redact the contact information for us that we're not supposed to contact. We're supposed to do our analysis based on our bylaws and just submit it. Real estate branch would take care of that. So no, we never contact any of the developers.
Okay, so based on the letter that they've provided, not the contractor itself, but the Sorry.
State proponent.
Yeah. Um, so based on the letter that was provided, then it sounds like perhaps that investigation has happened and that it's not connected to specific construction. That's what it states in the letter from Mr. Mack. So anyway, thank you.
On his behalf, yeah.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, basically, some of the only concerns I have is that, being that we are out of land to build, you know, uses for this big of a encampment or whatever project that it would be that, I can see why it has possibly come through the planning board and couldn't get property in town to accommodate that size of a construction thing. All right, well, with that, I guess there's no more questions. The call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
I'm just supposed to.
Read the resolution. Oh,
Oh, that was the long shoot.
that was that long.
Okay.
Want me to read it again? Whereas the Thompson Planning District has been advised of a proposed change in use to general permit number 0003315 for the L-shaped 30-room construction camp, 254 by 103.5 by 29 feet. Now therefore be it resolved that Thompson Planning District denies the change in use to general permit number 0003315 for the following reasons. The area is adjacent to the urban center of Thompson Planning District, which is not permitted under the class definition 1.4.89 of the LGD of Mystery Lake zoning bylaw number 541.84 as amended. The need for camp use incidental for construction has not been identified under the class definition 2.3.2 of the LGD of Mystery Lake zoning bylaw number 541-84 as amended. The December 16th, 1966 agreement between the province of Manitoba and the International Limited Company of Canada, Inco, Valley, requires all residential and commercial development to occur within the boundaries of Thompson Planning District. So the resolution, if you're for it, is asking for not to allow this construction there. So all those in favor of this resolution, which will not allow the construction? Okay, opposed? Board member Chong and Wong,
Abstain.
pardon?
No, I put up my hand.
Oh, his hand up here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it has passed.
Sorry,
Yes.
Chair, you have to ask why there's an abstention.
Oh, okay. Why is it?
Well, due to I have business going with this company, occasionally I get a contract with them, so I think it's not appropriate as a perception. So I will not go for this resolution. Thank you.
Is that reason enough?
Still agree.
Thank you. Please. Mhm. Thank you. 5.2 is a resolution to approve the assignment of change in use of general permit number 0000543 LGD of Mystery Lake. Resolution number 2024014, moved by board member Saw, seconded by board member Fitzpatrick. Whereas the Thompson Planning District has been advised of a proposed change in use and assignment for general permit number 000543 to legalize tenure to existing woodland workshop, shed, and outhouse and dock. Now therefore be it resolved that the Thompson Planning District approves the change in use and assignment to general permit number 000543 shall be subject to the following conditions. Conditional use approval obtained from the administrator of the LGD of Mystery Lake for section 3.1.3 of the LGD of Mystery Lake zoning bylaw 541-84 as amended. All use requirements met for section 3.1.4 of LGD of Mystery Lake zoning bylaw 541-84 as amended. Shoreline development shall preserve water quality and shall ensure bank stability for section 12-1-18 of the Thompson Planning District Development Plan bylaw number 42-2012 as amended. Developments requiring the construction, upgrading, or extension of a water supply or development of a water supply system must meet provincial requirements per section 13.2.1 of the Thompson Planning District Plan bylaw number 42-2012 as amended. Developments requiring the construction, upgrading, or extension of a wastewater supply or development of wastewater supply system must meet provincial requirements per section 13.2.1 of the Thompson Planning District Development Plan bylaw number 42-2012 as amended. Administration.
Yeah, so we're in receipt of the general permit number 543 for change in use and assignment. It was dated September 6th, and the response deadline has been set for October 21st. The location in question is a primary residence at Paint Lake, but it is outside the boundaries of the provincial park. It's located on 0.9 acres in LGD of Mystery Lake. The purpose of the application is to request a change in its use to convert it to a remote recreational cottage, to legalize its tenure to the woodshed, the workshop, shed, outhouse, and dock, and then to assign the permit to a new permit holder. This area is in the limited development zone of the LGD. There's a definition attached there of a cottage for the board's review. Cottages in the LD zone are only permitted under the following conditions. Cottages, including remote and isolated, only when located in a provincial park and is regulated by the provincial parks branch. Because the reclassification is for remote recreational, that's actually a conditional use under the zoning bylaw. So cottages isolated remote only when located outside of a provincial park. So due to that requirement, they would have to get a conditional use approval from the administrator, Wendy Wolf, who's on tonight, of the LGD Mystery Lake. The current use is listed right now as a principal residence. Conversion of the permit to a remote recreational cottage would be in keeping with the community development policies for the rural development policy area. And linking that back to some earlier discussion that a primary residence is not supposed to be outside the city of Thompson, per the 1966 agreements. So converting that to cottage would bring it into compliance. That's why there's the recommendations that were read forth in the resolution. The recommendation is that this be approved subject to those conditions.
Thank you. Wendy, did you have any further comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have a question with regard to, under the recommendations, the third bullet. Like, I understand the last two bullets, if there's any kind of development for water or wastewater, it requires to meet provincial regulations. But so does that mean too the same thing? If shoreline development is needed, it needs to meet the requirements under the Thompson Planning District Development Plan? I just wasn't quite sure as to what the intent was with that clause.
Yeah, so that's a language straight from the planning district development plan. So basically, because there's a dock being developed, or there's a dock existing there, that they would just have to make sure that it's protecting the shoreline, how it's developed.
Okay, so we have no issues as of up to this point that there has been any issues with the shoreline and we just want to make sure that it continues.
That's correct. It's just a document that that's a requirement.
Okay,
Anyone else?
and that's because there's a dog. Thank you.
No. Okay, you're okay, Wendy?
Yep, thanks.
Board member Valentino.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm familiar with this property and probably in the sixties, it was a principal residence or a primary residence for the people. And there was their trap line and everything, so there'll never be like the wastewater situation there, it'll always be outhouse. So, yeah, so I'm completely fine with this. It's nice to see this being cleaned up and that it's going to be properly identified and that there's gonna be some love and care to that place again, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none? All those that are in favor of this resolution? Carried. Tammy, just for your information, my line had already been signed on, so I sign. That'll go for adjournment. Board member Valentino, board member Fitzpatrick, all in favor. $7:48.
Thanks, Wendy. We're gonna go into a committee of the whole meeting now.
Thank you. Call this committee of the whole meeting to order. For October the 7th, 2024 at 7:49 p.m. I'd like to recognize that we're on Treaty 5 territory, ancestral land of Michis Cree Nation, and homeland of the Red River Métis. May I have an approval of the agenda? Deputy Mayor Valentino, Councilor Fitzpatrick, all those in favor? Carried. Next, we'll go to community comments and feedback. Second time, community comments and feedback. Five.
Yes, in response to a question asked couple of meetings ago regarding the Westwood design, I believe the question was whether the company responsible for the design of Westwood was the same that additional funding was added. The answer is yes. However, the additional funding was added as required as a basis of the change in scope. If we all recall the road project, the roads were in worse shape. We had to do a more of a reconstruction than mill and fill. That's why the value was added. So that's the answer to the question.
Thank you. Last call for any community comments, feedback. Thank you. Seeing none, we'll into reports. 5.1 is the by-election report. Nothing.
Yeah, so this is provided by our SEO, Norma Howitt. It's really there for information of council. Just noting that the voting results, there are a total of 860 ballots cast for the seat of councillor. And there were 886 ballots that were given up to voters.
Any comments? Councilor Saul.
Thank you. I just want to commend the work on our election officials. If you look at the prior by-election, we had more people who came out than wrong. We had that 100, but there were, I believe, between council and the school board, we had about 11 names in there. This time around, we had 4. And if you look at the roughly the amount per person, even if you take just a sloppy division on that, we more than doubled the amount of people that came out based on the amount of people there. So I do want to recognize the work that was done by the officials and by the city to help promote that by election. I think the people were well engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, citizens of Thompson. Anyone else? Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wondering, can the public see this document though?
Anthony?
I believe this is,
No, it's
it's not,
It's not.
oh, it's locked.
Right now it is.
I believe it should, we'll talk to the SEO. I believe this could be viewed publicly. We'll check with the SEO.
I have question, people say, why can't I read the report and like, I don't know. Yes, I asked, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Anyway, again, congratulations, Oz. Thanks for joining us. 5.2 Development Report. Wow.
Good evening, everyone. My report's attached. I'm just gonna touch on a few highlights that have been updates since I submitted the report last week for your briefing information. From the road renewal project, basically all we've got left to complete this year is Gray Wolf and Westwood Drive. And Maple Leaf's got a couple of days left in this rotation and they'll be back next week. All other paving work has been completed. Water and waste renewal, everything is back online for the accurate work on Westwood. Minus one residents we're working on. And for all sand, the main line of all services have been completed. We're just waiting for the pressure tester to get to town and I believe they're coming today. The pressure test that line and to then do the compliance test, get that online. Then that will wrap up that work. We expect that both the road and the water project will be wrapping up probably just after Thanksgiving. As long as the weather holds, we should be good to go. For the pool, the update is there, work continues. I forgot to note in here that we now have a resident reviewer on site, so as part of our contract with StatTech, we have a resident reviewer with StatTech, who is now on site working in 10-4 rotation. His name is Jose, so he started last week, so he's out right now, he's actually going to fly back Wednesday and do his next 10-day rotation. Facilities, everything's working well there, we've started making ice in the GD. We've completed a bunch of our capital work with regards to elevator repairs and the cameras and a jump starter installed. Buildings were starting to undergo our winter preparations with filter changes and maintenance to get them all set up, boiler checks, etc. And under development, basically the information is there. One thing I did forget. Project works. We've got 4 of the 6 trailers demoed and cleaned up in the Berkeley Trailer Court. The last 2 are just waiting for hydro disconnect, and then they'll be taken care of. So those trailer sites have all been removed and basically leveled with the aggregate material. The building inspector reports Danny's permits and permit numbers are all there for your information.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the report. Basically, I did ask a question a while ago about the changes of the Westwood Drive. So I'd like to understand this, when the city applied the ISEP project, the grant, and we stated all the road, what we're going to do. I understand some area might not able to build it. So there will be a modification. I totally understand that part. But to change the design, I'm wondering who decide to do that and when it's happened, and then why we not been informed by changing the design and choke the road. So I understand what benefit was, because I asked the question, what's the benefit by choking the road? Now I can see the multi-use path there. I want to go a little bit further. Back in the day when we decide to, the city decided to do the multi-use path, it just surrounded Thompson Drive, not into the residential area. So again, there's a changes. So I will appreciate that we can have some discussion before the changes made. So I'm wondering, why does it happen? I just need to understand that part. Thank you.
Specifically on the multi-use paths, there's multiple rings in the city and connected. So that was the original vision of how that was gonna be designed. With respect to the engineering, that was the recommendation that came from the engineers to the administration. And was approved by the administration to make those changes. But if there's, I guess going forward, if they wanted to have more discussions, let the director talk to it, but we could be bringing different things like that to council, but there's engineering standards that were followed.
Yeah, so, the response to that and a number of other questions that were provided to the committee of the whole have been mailed out to council for their review. I'll summarize the road narrowing because there's a whole blurb there that was provided by Brad Cook, who is the lead designer with, AECom in this work. Westwood Drive originally had 2 lanes that were 6.5 meters wide. A standard traffic lane is 4 meters wide, 3.75, 4 meters wide. With a 6.75 meter wide lane. That gets you to, 6.5 gets you 13 meters total width. The standard roadway width for a 2-lane each direction is 14 meters, which means we were short by 1 meter. So we did not meet the requirements for a 2-lane in each direction roadway. So to enhance the safety of the road and to eliminate the risk of accidents, we brought the design of the spec, which would narrow the road from 13 to 10, which would provide 2 lanes of active traffic and a lane of parking. The risk of a lane of 6.75 meter width was if someone was negotiating a left-hand turn, in theory, someone could sneak past the other car and end up in a collision. So again, when they're designing these roads, they look at standards for lane widths and safety when they factor in these decisions. Now, I'm paraphrasing what he wrote, but his whole blurb of his answer was provided to council for their consideration. And Council Wong, I'd be more than happy to talk and we can talk about it. Going forward, I will bring that information to council. I will tell you right now, as I did in my response, we are looking at bringing other roads in Thompson more into spec and narrowing them to bring them into a more of a safer fashion and not having these wide lanes that can result in accidents.
Thank you. Councillor Wong.
Thank you. I'd just like to continue that. I also understand about the road standard, okay? But why not wider? When you make it narrower, I understand when you say it's not enough for 2 lane, but it's wider than 1 lane. To me, I'd rather keep the 1 lane, wider 1 lane than make it 2 lane. But also, I don't know whether the MPI changed the rules or not. When you take a road test, you're going to the Westwood Drive, it considered 2 lane. If you're changing lane, you don't put signal, you don't do a shoulder check, they deduct your point. So that part, we need to address that as well. Because this is the bigger picture than what we try to argue here, right? So that part, they're still treated as a 2 lane. So now we change it, whatever. It is what it is, already happened. But I believe the administration is supposed to be execute the thing with the resolution or bylaw, but not by changing without us concerned. Because right now we got called. I don't know the rest, but I got called about what happened to the frontage. They're all worried about they're getting paid more tax. Those things, if we can talk beforehand, so at least we can calm down the heat from the people. They're worried about now, do I have to cut more grass? Do I have to shower the what you call the multi-use path? There's a lot of questions coming up, which we don't need that. If we had consulted beforehand, so at least we can have a better answer to the public or the taxpayer. We don't need to go through all that. Our time is valuable as well, like we don't need to talk about all that, which is administration should be able to do the job without us worrying, without the public worry about it, right? So that's the only concern I have. Otherwise, I think it's a great job. At least now we have a healthy living, we promote healthy living as a multi-use path. I like to use that path as well. So anyway, those are my 2 concerns. That's why I need to bring it addressed. And I hope moving forward, we should get a notification or information beforehand. That way we can collectively agree without any conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Saul.
Thank you.
That's fine.
You know what, it was a very informed email when I read through that, and then I was going through the comments, and I don't know how many people had asked questions in past meetings that resulted in the email. But saying that, my main question was, how are we communicating these answers to our fellow Thompsoners. I understand that there are a few that I'm sure are tuning in. There are a few that will talk to members of council. The vast majority are going to have questions, but they'll either just not ask, or they'll just, put their hands up in the air, just say that's something to be done. I think it's very important for us to be able to effectively communicate why we're doing things, especially things that impact people on a day-to-day basis. So my question is, it's great to have the email, but what's our strategy when it comes to communicating some of these Q&As to the general public, so we can get, even if they don't agree with the answers, but at least if we can say this is the process we went through and this is why it was done a certain way. So just a general question, what is our strategy when it comes to a whole lot of people asking questions about certain things, and how do we get that out into the general realm?
Thank you.
So
Anthony?
the priority was to get that information to council today, which was done. And then I believe Lyle will be meeting with Ian, our communications officer, and they'll craft a way to put that information out there to answer people's questions. But today's priority was to get the responses to council.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. A couple things for me is, one, I think that our administration has done their job following this, and I appreciate the email, as Councillor Saw said today, was super helpful and very well explained to us. So I'm big on the communication process. So I think how it was explained to us moving forward is exactly will be the standard that we would follow, I would think. I mean, the guy was an engineer and an architect or whatever, and explained it quite well with we can't just make roads the way we want them. We obviously have to follow regulations. So it's good that we're back on track now as a city with our roads. I would never want to go wider and put more money. I would rather do as many roads as we can with the proper regulations. So be clear that I feel administration did their due diligence by following the regulations and the recommendations. And I do appreciate this season of construction and having to work on this. And I do hope that when we get a ton of snow that you are able to have some time off, and then Neil will work around the clock, get rid of the snow on the roads. But thank you for all of that. I do have a question about the ice surface and the CA Nesbit. Did we have problems in September? I know numerous arenas across the province have been struggling with keeping ice. And I'm wondering how we are affected. I know we got a real bad spot there behind the one net, and hear about it lots. So I'm just kind of wondering if we're addressing that, or if we had some struggles with that, starting that up.
As I understand, yeah, we have the battle with that one corner. But no, the guys have been doing a very good job of trying to keep it solid. We did make one upgrade to our ice plant this year. It happened a couple of times early in the season where we had power failures in the ice plant, and the ice plant didn't exactly start up as it was designed. So what we've actually done now is we've actually put a power monitoring signal on there, so much like a fire alarm. If we lose power at the ice plant, the auto dialer calls 3 of the individuals on the team, so the facility manager and 2 of the IPOs, to ensure that someone responds to the ice plant and make sure that it's started back up in time, so we don't end up losing ice. So that was an additional, and I forgot to mention in my report. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for reminding me. So that is one of the additional services that we put in there. But other than that, I've not heard anything else otherwise issues with our ice this year.
Can I follow up, Mayor? Another thing in your report, the Burntwood Trailer Court, how that's already happened with putting down those trailers and cleaning that up. I think to Councillor Song's point about communicating, can we do a communication piece on that work and how well it's looking and cleaned up? I think that would be good for our residents to see that that's something that kind of happened quickly that we added into our budget. So that's good to hear. And then my other comment was definitely on the multi-use pathway. There was a plan, and it picking on you tonight, Councillor Saw, but it might have been when you were on council, but that whole plan was designed, and I think it actually was supposed to connect up through Deerwood School to get you to go way more down into the city center area, not just the loop around Thompson Drive. So I'm sure that plan there is somewhere for us to review, but thanks for that.
Thank you. Counselor Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, speaking on the, getting rid of the old trailers, I was speaking to the contractor on that and, he was more than happy to do the work for us. He just goes in and deals with the asbestos as he is trained to do and, he says, he's looking forward to more next year if we so desire, get more out of there.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just must say, as for the trailer court, the neighbors, I've had many, phone calls and that from the neighbors and now from the rest of the trailer court, wondering when it's their turn. So we'll have to remember that during budget. So we're definitely have a good start, but that's what it is a start. Thank you. 5.3, recreation. Who's doing the recreation report today?
I'll quickly go through it. The director is on vacation at the moment. Their indoor rec has resumed, featuring programs as Thompson Tumblers, Special Olympics and others. There's still drop-in sports happening. And like it said, we were talking about the ice installation. The game room has been closed and then the games will still be available for birthday parties. There's a meeting that was held on October 1st with all the outdoor recreational groups to review their next season, and then explore improvements for next year. In September, there was the Health and Leisure Mart, craft tables, the municipal election, Orange Shirt Day, Truth and Reconciliation, seniors fitness, Tai Chi yoga, and in October, there is Fire Prevention Month. I believe next week is Fire Prevention Week, or this week, yeah. And there's also going to be a haunted house in the rec center at the end of October.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Deputy Mayor Valentino.
Thank you, Mayor Smook. I have a couple of comments if I could get follow-up. The October 1st meeting, can we have like what happened at that meeting? What were the good things? What are they looking for improvement instead of just that the meeting happened? And secondly, if in the next report, we could, I know Councilor Woodruff didn't have her hand up, but I'll speak to it because I'm sure we would like to know what's happening with the indoor kids equipment and where that's at. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilor Saul.
Yeah, no, just following up on what the deputy mayor volunteer was mentioning, and I'm glad that, yeah, I'd love to see a more in-depth report on what those concerns were, because I know I heard a few things. And not just what the concerns were, but what the administration's strategy in trying to deal with the concerns. That we will be a lot more prepared to, when we hear what these concerns again, we're better prepared to say, okay, this is what that is. But yeah, we definitely would, love to have a much more detailed.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Definitely, a lot of information. Thank you. 5.4, Public Works Report. Neil.
Good evening, my report's attached for your review. So our public works crew are currently working Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 4:30. Says they're for pothole repairs, and with the wet weather we've been having lately, there's a lot of potholes out there, so we're actively trying to tackle as many as we possibly can before the freeze over season. Daniel, our area tenant, is still working, and he'll work until the snow falls. He doesn't mind the weather, so he's out there every day, 7:30, 4:30, picking up garbage, pushing his cart around, and does not complain. So he's a valuable member of our team and a great asset. Our Kurmazawa crew is continuing. They just finished up the Juniper area today, and we'll be moving into the Eastwood area. Our internal asphalt crew went out there and spread some asphalt on. Main focus was water breaks, as well as any smaller areas that sustained total failure. We were not able to get to them all, but we got to as many as we possibly could. If you've been down the highway in by Juniper Park, you've seen that our play structure and splash pad project has started. They hope to complete it by the end of this week. Our weather was kind of a little bit of a surprise with the contractors doing the installation, but they toughed it out and continued going through it. We will not, for obvious reasons, be putting any water to that splash park this year because we don't want it to get in there and freeze and cause some issues. So we'll put the water into it by hopefully earlier mid-May or late May next year. Our money trail maintenance continues with the weather that we had in that strong winds. There's a lot of trees down, so we're trying to move them out of the way. Top up any areas that we possibly can that had sustained some washouts. Our compost site is still open. It's open until the end of the month. It's being actively used. We emptied the dumpsters today, and within probably about 2 hours, they're full up again. So that's a great job. Everyone keep at it. Keep bringing us your compost. Except for brush and branches. We ask that you take all of that to the waste disposal grounds. It's free to dispose of. It causes us about an hour or 2 hours work about it every day just to remove it from our compost site to haul it to the waste disposal grounds. So we're asking everybody to help us out, take it to the waste disposal grounds. They'll take it for free. They'll burn it. No issues. So. All our baseball diamonds, soccer pitches were prepped and painted. I know that the school board is trying to have a junior high softball tournament, but the weather was not cooperating for them, so they're gonna try to have it by the end of this week, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. All of our other splash pads have been shut down and winterized. Our cemetery project is continuing probably into about November, as well as when the ground freezes up. We will be going into the cross country ski trail and be doing some brushing and whatnot around through there. Waste disposal grounds is still currently operating under the summer schedule until the last Saturday of October. And then our one-stop drop household hazardous waste depot is open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, accepting all household paints, light bulbs, oils, batteries, etc. For the water and sewer, you see the breakdown of the monthly water breaks on there and the ongoing work. Currently, there's 2 water mains, 6 service break repairs, 7 storm main repairs, 6 hydrant repairs, 3 manhole repairs, and 9 main valve repairs. Staff is currently working on all of our hydrants to make sure that they are winterized for the season, drained of any water, and so that they don't freeze up for Thompson Fire Emergency Services need to use them. And then one thing that's not actually in this report, but our water treatment plant backup generator project has started. Finally, it took us about 2 years for this project to start. We had our kickoff meeting about 2 weeks ago now. They are in the design phase. They've been giving all the information. They came for a site tour, so we're excited that this project is starting. So going forward, whenever it gets designed and installed, and any backup or any power outages that we have, our water plant will not be affected. So I'm very excited for that project. Thank you.
Thank you. Very busy. With the Juniper Park, I know we had challenges getting it started and that. So if we don't start the water this year, will there be a warranty carryover until the spring in case there is issues with it?
There will be a warranty for that.
Okay. Thank you. Comments? Councilor Saul.
Thank you. Just more for my own information, the Rotary Splash Park. So that's included under that inventory. How does that work? Splash Park.
Sorry, I'm very hard of hearing.
So the Rotary Splash Park?
Yeah.
Okay, so just for my own information, that's included in here with the water shut off.
Yeah.
Right? And whenever group does things like that they have done, we have agreements with them in regards to how we will maintain that going forward.
Yeah, I was never part of any agreements from the Rotary's club or whatever that was put through there. I don't know if you say that.
Anthony, yeah.
Yeah, I think some of those assets that were donated in the past, there were no written agreements.
Okay.
So the groups put them together, built them, and so some of those are unclear. But the city usually takes over and starts maintaining them. There've been some groups that have said they want to maintain them themselves and didn't want the city involved. So the city wasn't involved. A few of them now, the groups have fallen away and don't maintain it, which then means the city will probably have to start taking over some of the maintenance.
Yeah, so well, thank you. Yeah, I'm just curious to see what that structure was for those ones where a group creates something.
And if there's agreements that come into place in regards to how we take care of it going forward, so. But anyway, yeah, that answers my question, thank you.
This one here, Juniper Park, was valet give a donation, a sizable donation, plus it was grants, the city in that. We knew it was basically going to be our park to maintain.
As well as the Building Sustainable Communities Fund.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Valentine.
Thanks, Ms. Thanks for saying that about the potholes. I'm really hoping we can put a pothole push on before the snow. The second phase of the cemetery, every couple of years, I think we need to tour the cemetery, phase 2. Like, I think as council, we need to understand the big capital work that needs to happen out there. So I guess I'm asking if we can put that on the radar for council to either tour it, or if we can have a whole kind of plan on what's going on, because I know that's some big capital work that has to happen. Thanks.
Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Fire hydrants. Was approached by a couple of firefighters recently, and they have a concern about 3 firefighters in the industrial area.
Hydrants.
Fire hydrants. Thank you. First one is by Matachuk Shop, one by Iron Fitness Gym, and the other one is by Leo's Home Decorating. All 3 of them have a big yellow pipe around them, and they're basically inaccessible. Is there some way we can cut that away so that hydrants become accessible?
Neil.
We put those around there.
Yeah, I know that.
We put those so they don't get damaged, because that's the biggest part of it. If
Yeah.
they're not protected, then
That part I totally understand.
Yeah.
But if it comes time to use them, then they can't even turn them on, or they can't get a hose on them, then they're redundant.
it's, even some of those, I wasn't involved in, they're
Right.
probably been there for many, many years.
Yeah, oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
the fire chief was always involved in
Yeah.
the installation of them and okayed the
Well,
height of them and everything like that, so.
Yeah, no, I understand it was before your time. I get that
No, no,
100%.
yeah.
But is there some way we could make them accessible? Like, could we cut some of that pipe down so that they could at least access them? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director, for your report. And I always have questions about potholes, because I asked you the question before. Okay, people asking me why the pothole to T3 down there, instead of filling the whole pothole, they fill half filled. So when you drive by, you still have to drop down and come up. So it's a big bomb and people jump over there. So can we do a better job on that area,
At where? Sorry.
going to T3? Before
Station Road,
station,
Station Road, where
And
you
then the
turn
crack.
around for custom.
there's a
built.
lot of crack down there, they need to be filled beside potholes.
It needs more and more to be filled.
I know.
It was my hope that even right in front of, we'll say, Mountain Supply, everything in that area was gonna be all repainted this year,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that did not happen.
So just add a little
We
bit
can-
more.
We can work.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the Station Road is part of my travels that I phone regularly on it. Thank you. Councillor McIver.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The other thing I want to put on the radar is, the Burntwood Road, the trailer court road and that, because I usually drive around there and see how the roads are, and sometimes they're just rough. You know, when I drive a truck, and it's sometimes it's just ridiculous. I can't even practically under 10 trying to drive there. So just to keep it on the radar to get it cleared and straightened or something.
Yeah. We've been in there Friday, we're in there again already today, just with the wet weather, it's a terrible area for terrible roads. I will hopefully be bringing to budget a gravel program again, and we did it a couple of years ago. Something I'd like to try to work into the operational budget as opposed to the capital budget, where we actually have an annual re-graveling program, because those roads are not even just a gravel road, every gravel road that we have, or we'll call them gravel, but clay is really all they are now.
breaks. So if I do the math, it average about less than 3 dig that you need to conduct every month. So why we always constant having the issue about the thing been running, the water been running for days and days, and we cannot tackle the job. And because we do get complaint from this, because people don't like to see the water running. Some people even come up to me and say, hey, when my house had a water break, I pay top dollar for my water usage. But when the city had water break for months and months, but then I have no consequences. It's a good question. I'm not gonna argue with it. So I'd like to change a bit. I don't know whether you can help us to get this or not. What can we do to improve the service? And that's one of the questions. Secondly, when I look at you have ongoing work. So sometimes people come to me and ask me about the break. I have no idea how old the break is, how new the break is. Is it possible for you to identify those break locators? So at least I can answer the question. Sometimes I don't want to answer the question. I don't want to do your job, but I'd like to help if I can. That way, I think we should work as a team together. That way we will work.
Anthony has an answer. to
Right.
the question.
So I think we've just last week starting to roll out Lucity, which will start to allow us to track exactly what you're asking for. So our asset management software is finally built. They did their first round of training at also at the management level.
Good.
And then we're gonna be able to see, the break was this day, this is how long it stayed, how much it cost to do that repair, who worked on it, what pieces of equipment, all that'll be there.
Excellent.
We're finally getting there, but right now I think we do it a manual process, which is more difficult. So it's harder to get some of the data and track some of those timelines, so. That's
No further question. Thank
months
you.
away, I think. And I see the director has.
Neil,
I'll touch on a little bit. Uh, Staff is our reason why. We are short-staffed. I don't complain about it because everybody's short-staffed. What more can we do about it? But some councilors may remember budgets in the past that were not so fun and positions had to be cut. That's the way it went. Positions that were cut. But level of service was never cut. Level of service actually grew, but the people that do it lessened. So we are trying our best to prioritize everything we can. So when we get 3 people for water and sewer to do our water breaks, but they gotta do water meters, you gotta do our sanitary flushing, our unidirectional flushing, our hydrant maintenance, and et cetera. So on and so forth. Plus you need the operators to dig the water breaks, number one's for their excavator, the hydrovac, the tandem operators, loader operators. It all is only one pool of people, and it's really tough for us to get it all done. And we try our best. We do everything we possibly can. We try to prioritize what we can. Not that everybody's short-handed, I understand that, so I'm not saying, oh, for us, we need more people, but we do. We need more people. If I had the crew I had 10 years ago, this would be a totally different story. We would, I'm sure you might have remembered, we did 300 water breaks in a year, easily, not a problem. Plus everything else that we were able to do, so we had the staff to be able to do it. So I'm not gonna cry about it, I'm not gonna complain about it, I'm not gonna go on about it, because that's just reality, it is what it is. People are tax dollars, and that's all there is to it, right? So if I go out and ask for more people, taxes gotta go up, so you gotta be fiscally responsible for everything. So we try our best to try to prioritize everything we possibly can.
thank you. Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to add on that comment. But the last 5 years, the budget, we never cut any funding to the staff. That part I don't understand, when you say short. So it's a different kind of a topic. But when I hear that we need more money to staffing, but I don't recall that we ever cut those positions well, even we don't have a swimming pool, we still divert all the people to that department to help out the public work. So that part, it doesn't match. So anyway, I'm not trying to debate here. It's a totally different topic. But I'd like to understand more, because from my recollection, we never cut public work staffing money. They're still getting the amount of money that they needed to accommodate. Show it to me then, if I'm wrong. Thank you.
It's all on AllNet, Counselor, so you'd still have access to all your old budgets. Showing back, I believe in 2017, there were cuts 18, 19. We managed to save staff during COVID by diverting them to the rec center, but each one of those budgets reduced number of staff in multiple departments. They're all cost saving measures.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, lively discussion there. Next, we're going to go into development. A memo from the Director of Development and Technical Services in regards to the renewal of land lease for Lot 2 Plan 28758 Popeyes. But
Yes, good evening. So, the current lease for this property, this lease goes back a long ways. This lease was renewed back in 2014. And for some reason, and we can't figure out why, there was a time period on that lease. Typically, our leases are renewed annually. There's no end date to them. As long as conditions of lease are met, we carry on. So this lease was approved by resolution 2014-163 to run from a period of June 23rd, 2014 to June 23rd of 2024, meaning that this lease is currently lapsing. And as I said, this is the lease for the Popeyes business that was operating in the area for many decades. The leasing is requested renewal. As the business is for sale, the leasing is requesting a new lease to allow them to sell the business. Once the business is sold, a new lease document will be written up for the new owner. We've done this with other land leases that where a building that is on the lease has sold to a different party. We've basically just provided a new lease with the new owner. So again, to give the current owner land security to be able to sell the business, they're requesting the renewal. So our recommendation is to approve the renewal. The language of the lease will be revised to our standard agreements, whereas the lease renews annually versus a fixed period of time.
thank you. Comments? Anthony,
So the request would be for us to bring it by for resolution at the next meeting in council.
a show of hands, who's willing to bring this forward? Carried. Okay. 6.2 is a memo from the Director of Development Technical Service in regards to a new land lease for Lot 21 Plan 55901 Crane Street.
Yes, good evening. So a business has approached the city, Turkey's Lawn and Storage, to lease a property, so lot 21, which is on Crane Street. The map is attached to your memo. They are proposing to use the lot as storage in a contractor yard for the storage of equipment and vehicles. They are not putting up any buildings or any structures as per our lease requirements. Basically, it's a fenced storage area. The price of the lease is in the memo for you, so it's as per our fees and fines, and there will be a 10% administration fee applied for the setup of the lease. I've had numerous discussions with them. The draft copy of the lease is attached to your paperwork. Sorry, is attached to your briefing material. A copy has also been shared with them. The company has no concerns with the content. So basically asking that this lease be brought forward to the council meeting next week.
Comments? Councillor Saul.
Thank you. Just a general comment, I guess two questions. I assume that these lots does not, currently there's no demand for hybrid models for them. For the most part, they're basically not a huge, no one's a huge rush to build.
So just to respond, that's correct. There happening, and there is language in the lease that if someone does come forward and wanting the land, there is language in the lease that would basically state that. If a bona fide offer is received by the city, the lease would be terminated after X period of time, and the leaseholder would have to vacate.
Okay, good.
So it doesn't tie us into a long.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, those in favor of moving this on to next council meeting, go ahead.
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Sorry,
Have you go with your question?
thank you. I just want to understand a bit more this request. is this company try to lease the land from city for the personal equipment and vehicle, or also use it as a public storage or personal storage,
No, it's for storage for their company to store equipment and vehicles.
their own storage,
Yes,
not for public?
no.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, again, I'll ask for a show of hands, who's willing to move this on to the council agenda? Carried. Thank you all. 6.3 is a memo, pardon me, from the Director of Development and Technical Service in regards to awarding the tender for updating the development and zoning bylaw.
So good evening. So as per the discussion earlier on the planning district, the city put out an RFP for the update of our development plan and zoning bylaw for the city, as well as the zoning bylaw for the planning district. The development plan and our current zoning bylaw for the city of Thompson is 2012. So it's kind of getting a little long in the tooth. The current zoning bylaw for the planning district is actually 1984. So it is a very aged document. We received 7 proposals. They were reviewed by myself, our chief building inspector, Dan Haywood, the LGD of Mystery Lake Administrator, Wendy Wolf, and Brett Mack, the community planner for Northern Region Municipal and Northern Relations. The technical scoring and the pricing is all there. I want to add to a question that board member Wong raised, the planning district, Councilor Wong, once this is awarded, one of the phases in this project will be an open house for not only the committee, but also the council and also the public as a whole to come forward to see where they want the city to be in X number of years. These are critical planning documents that the city uses for new subdivisions, new policy areas, new commercial areas. We've had requests for tiny house neighborhoods in Thompson. This is all stuff that would be taken into consideration during this project. So there's a critical task here, and it's task 2, which really talks about the background document. I mentioned it in my agenda that the task 2, the background report, is an important overall task. This is the foundation. And I make a reference in there that, as you know, a poor foundation makes a poor building, that we really looked at that task as well. And the lead proponent, HTFC, has a very large amount of resources tied into that phase. Again, to collect data, to look at what's happening in not only the region, but also not in the community, but also in the region, to assist in the planning documents. So I'm not going to go over what I kind of said earlier. I think we've heard it all before, but basically the group of 4 of us are recommending that this RFP be awarded to HDFC in the amount of $129,985, and we have $120,000 budgeted now, and that the shortfall of the $10,000 would come from our gas tax fund under capacity building would be the element of the gas tax.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Deputy Mayor Valentine.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. This is exciting. Like, this is a good thing that we're gonna do for the future of Thompson. I like how you and your group broke it down. I'm supporting the recommendation. I mean, if they're the least amount per hour of work, the value added is fantastic. What's our overall timeline for this project?
About 14 months, 14 to 16 months, give or take. When the RFP came in, we said that work would start in September. Unfortunately, due to some matters, we weren't able to evaluate these proposals quickly enough. So we're kind of a month and a half after, but we're expecting kind of that 14 to 16 month process. There also has to be feedback from the province on this, because of course, development plan and zoning bylaws have to go to the province for review. So that's not included in that timeline, because that's kind of a black box unknown kind of thing, but that will be there. There will be numerous opportunities besides the public meeting that I mentioned. There'll be numerous opportunities for council and the board to get updates of the process as it carries on.
No, thank you very much, and I look forward to this. This is super exciting.
Thank you. Counselor Song.
Yeah, thank you. Just in regards to the process after this award, yeah, I share the comments there that this is exciting stuff. Look forward to the process. Aside from the public, I assume part of that process will be meeting with various stakeholders when it comes to everything from low income housing.
Affordable housing, absolutely, yep.
Because I think that is a, right now, we're kind of being very reactive when it comes to people who come for development. I would do these on a one-off basis in regards to current context of what we have. But we do need that more forward document, say where do we want to be in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Especially when it comes to these bigger issues such as housing and so on. So very glad to hear. So they will also be part of the process as well and part of the discussion. So that's good. Thank you for that.
And just to add, I know we've already had, there's been discussions, I know some of have had discussions around some of the grants that have been out there. Housing Accelerator Fund and some of the requirements, you see Winnipeg, we're having to add, kind of medium or high density, medium density housing in single family areas. That's all gonna be open for discussion when we start to do these things. So, we're gonna be looking at the planning lens across Canada as to what other jurisdictions are doing. We've had talks at previous council meetings about parking space requirements for buildings. We had to do a variance for a building to allow for parking spots. Really, the grand scheme of things like parking spots are really left to the developer to determine based on the type of housing. If it's an affordable housing unit or a low income housing unit, you don't necessarily need the 1.5 parking spots per unit that our code requires because frankly, there aren't that many vehicles involved in a project like that. So all of these things are going to be taken into consideration in these documents.
Thank you. Counselor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's time for us to, change the, upgrade the zoning bylaw. But when I look at the price and look at the suggestion of what they can do, I don't understand that. Some of the things I don't understand what that means, especially like when you look at the greenhouse gas thing. I don't know what the study can do for us. And the climate change that I have no idea what that means, especially the crime prevention through environment design. I don't understand what that means by doing the zoning. The RCMP have a hard time to prevent the crime, but by design, the zoning and all that can change that. You know what? I think it's worth of the money for even $20,000, $30,000 more we have to spend to get those studies done. Because it costs millions of dollars every year for doing all this. So I'm worried about, but I will support this. But what I'm talking about, the money. Some company suggest all this extra thing they can do. But to me, it sometimes is irrelevant. We overkill this. All we want is just to make the place that easy for access and build and do things and change around what the community want. But now we're doing all this extra. Is it really going to help? I don't know. I'm not expert. But to me, I just look at it, what that means.
Well, Anthony's going to answer.
Yeah, so most of the federal funding and now a lot of provincial programs require those reports just to even apply for the grant. So where in the past we could apply for the grant and not need that, or we could kind of just do a little bit of internet research and write out something they wanted, that doesn't cut it anymore. So to get the grant to even be considered, you have to provide that report with the grant. So these are things that if we have them and we can show it's integrated into our planning documents, we'll basically get extra points. We're more likely to get money. Right now, without having those, there are grants that we've tried to apply to. And we've been turned down. They tell us don't even bother applying because the city doesn't have that. So some of these planning documents were actually behind. And if we can get these all done at once, then we'll be able to start applying for money again. So that's why the administration is recommending we get these.
I get it, but it's just like, is it really help? This part I don't understand.
If it lands us $1 million grant, a $10 million grant, it's worth it.
I think we've proved that over the last few years, we've been doing our homework to get these grants. This is just one more step that'll allow us to get some
No,
more.
madam, I understand that. I just say like, this is what they require, but I'm just saying, actually, when we really do the study, spend all the extra money, are they really help? That's what I'm concerned about. Other than that, I understand about the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I just say? one
Councillor
thing?
Song. Oh, let's go loud first.
I just want to comment, I believe, your question about, septic crime prevention through environmental design, I believe, is there a
Next
session
week.
coming up on that?
Yeah.
That's next week?
Yeah.
Okay, there's gonna be more information on that, but crime prevention through environmental design are techniques that we built into the planning model to help reduce the dark places to hide, the parts of the pieces that the RCMP have struggled with. So I know the RCMP have attended a couple of courses on that recently, and that's gonna become, I think, next week, I think you'll have a whole change in information on that, Councilor.
Thank you. Councillor Song.
Yeah, just real quickly, and once again, I fully sort of support this, and it's like most documents, as long as it's used, which I know it will be, from seeing other grants over the last few years, yeah, it's very important for us to do this, because, it will open up a whole lot more doors, and at the same time, it gives us a chance to say, you know, as a council, this is our vision for what we want to see in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Very proactive that way. So once again, I fully support this. Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, seeing none, another lively debate. Who's, or by show of hands, who's willing to move this on to city council agenda to approve for the next regular meeting? Carried. Okay, Kyle, you have your direction. Next, we're going into legislative. 7.1 is a memo from the executive assistant in regards to the Operation Red Nose agreement. Anthony, is that you?
This is an annual housekeeping one that comes forward from Operation Red Nose. Tammy prepared the memo on this one. They're asking if we can bring this forth for approval at the next meeting of council.
Questions? All those in favor of bringing this agreement forward? Carried. 7.2 is a letter from Ian Bushy, Minister of Municipal Northern Relations, Minister of Indigenous Economic Development in regards to 2024 municipal operating grant, final payment. Anthony.
Yeah, this is just for council's information indicating that the province is forwarding or probably already has forwarded the second part of our basket payment.
Thank you. 7.3 is a letter from Tim Johnson, Manager of Community Futures North Central Development in regards to the status of the Northern Manitoba Roundtable.
Yeah, this is just for information that the manager is looking to get the group back together. There are now people from MKO and I believe NACC. Yeah, it's just for information.
Okay, thank you. 7.4 is a letter from Robert Monroe, Manager Support Services of Manitoba Emergency Management Organization, reminding all local authorities to submit their 2025 emergency response plan. Anthony.
Yeah, and just to indicate that our municipal emergency coordinator is already working on the plans. I'd anticipate they'd be coming in front of councils probably sometime in November.
Thank you. And just further to that will likely be part of this. There is a course in Winnipeg next week, disaster management. It will be attended by Lawrence and myself for sure. Okay, with that, I'd like to remind everybody again that it's Fire Prevention Week. The focus this year is on smoke detectors save lives. And there is, well, maybe you can help me out. Is it Wednesday or Thursday at the TRCC is the open house?
I believe it's Wednesday.
Wednesday, that's what I think it is. Wednesday from 9 to 3, the schools will be going there. The fire department's been in some of the schools and that, so definitely winter coming. It's that time of year to check your batteries in your smoke detector, or if they're hardwired, make sure that they're working. That, I'll call for adjournment. Councillor Fitzpatrick. I have a second of Councillor McIver, all in favor. Reminder to council, we have an in camera. council.
I'm gonna hang up and rejoin on the